And my brother, Pio, Popieni.
Yeah.
Popieni is my hero, bro. Popieni introduced me to James Brown, and my life has never been the same.
James Brown.
Oh, yeah. He had a poster of James Brown at our house in Pioneers Park.
You're making it sound like you guys met in person. I was like, okay.
No, but in that regard, like,
Yeah.
don't take close-ups because I'm a bit like tired.
Don't worry.
Yeah, so I put in a lot of work, but
Yeah.
I create therefore I am is there's this guy, I don't know, he's one of these ancient philosophers, I forgot the name right now. He has this thing where he says, I think therefore I am. Socrates, yeah? Okay. So when I say I create therefore I am, it's like since I left high school,
Yeah.
I've never made money, never in all my life. I created wealth, I created money, I created an industry, you know, and I strongly believe in that and I stand behind that because besides Lazarus Jacobs and Neville Basson, there was no comedy in this country.
True.
Yeah, and today, comedians don't need free your mind to make money. That's an industry created by one institution. So I create therefore I am is I create wealth. I believe that as a people, it's time for us to create wealth instead of making money. Yeah, we don't focus on what is important. We don't focus on means of production, the mindset of the people that basically not necessarily consuming your product, but we don't focus on the people that are in your environment, the people. Look, I think in the last 15 years, Free Your Mind will be 15 years in July. 15. Nobody has chilled with me. Chilling with me was always about making money. Chilling with me was always about what's your talent? What can you do? What are you good at? And then I found the way to sell it. And you know who I sold? Ileka, Mitch, Slick, even Blossom was one of those very first people at the beginning of her career where we identified her. Say Jaja, the first female comedian. Weasel.
Lioness was around.
Lioness also had a launch. Sally, from 2009 until maybe 2012, she launched every song. Every time she had a new song, she launched it at Free Your Mind. Because we created value. We didn't make money, you know. In fact, we were broke. Franklin.
Yeah.
This is Fidel asked me to create a lesson, to create a lecture, a PowerPoint presentation. So bear with me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you some questions. When I tell you about pyramids, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Egypt. Do you know what's the first thing that comes to my mind? Architecture. When I talk about the drum, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Rhythm. I think about the greatest invention of all time. When I think about the Holy Bible, when I say the Holy Bible, what comes to your mind?
Absolutism.
Absolutism. That's powerful.
That's deep.
Do you know what comes to my mind?
Yeah.
I have my keys here. I always walk with a memory stick.
Yeah.
Because if you're sloppy, I'll steal your information from your computer. Anyway, but I keep that as a reminder that as a child, right, before anything, I was a memory stick, a brand new one.
Yeah.
And information was uploaded onto me constantly. Do you know who was my first grandfather? Sam Nyoma. Do you know what's the first song I've ever heard? Sema Olipeni, Helule Pandela. And I'll sing it proudly until the day I die. Do you know how white people were introduced to me? As the enemy. So, when I think about the Bible, now I didn't even make reference to the Bible, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to think of yourself as a memory stick. And you downloaded some information. What you do with that information is up to you, right? And when you think about rock art, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Rock art.
The
That is it's not sculptures.
No. So those are like the first people that sort of communicated.
Communication.
You know what I mean? So those are that's the first recorded form of communication in human civilization. So communication ultimately.
Brother, I believe that nobody in the world can ever tell me, nobody, not one person, that my ancestors never wrote.
Yeah.
Just because I cannot interpret it doesn't mean they never wrote. So there's a picture here. Can you see it? It's our ancestors. They were by Herero, captured by the Germans. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Slavery, perhaps.
Genocide.
Just remember, love is the strongest force, but I don't want to comment on it because I'm on a different platform. Love is the strongest force, guys. Love will move you to hate your mom and go to your girlfriend. Just be careful. But also, in the world of love, politics, and power, it has also a lot of potential. There's a picture here of Che Guevara.
Yeah.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Revolution. Or guerrilla.
Yeah, guerrilla. Do you know what I think, man? I think the word guerri came from guerrilla. And I'm a proud guerri. I'm a proud guerrilla. I'm a child of a guerrilla. I'm a child of a terrorist in those times. The Germans called us terrorists. I'm proud of that. And you know the terrorists I'm talking about, these guerrillas, are my mom and dad. I think my dad joined SWAPO when he was 15. And my mom probably when she was about 17. My dad eventually became a commander. My mom is a medical practitioner. Even when she retired, she worked for the army. Fidel's mom is my mom. Anyone born in exile is my mom. When I say my father, I always talk about everybody who was willing to lay down their life. Because I'm not the child of my parents, I'm the child of the revolution. But the biggest influence in my life was my father. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Lubango. I think at the time that I was born, a lot of people say war was rife. Things were hectic. After I was born, I caught measles. There's this statement that the Angolan nurses used to use, apparently, is Jamureu. Jamureu apparently means, is he dead yet, or something like that, because I caught measles or kakwenyene. I spent 8 months in the hospital fighting for my life, but I survived. And I believe strongly until this day, I survived because I chose life. I chose to live. I chose to come into this country, and I chose to play my part and not be a participant. That was my choice at that time, and I believe it deeply. So we came into an independent Namibia. I knew my parents. I knew them. I didn't know them well because they were doing their SWAPO things, They were here, there, studying, wherever. So I stayed with my aunt Kuku Kasisi. I stayed with my grandma. I stayed with Tate Neumbo. He passed on in 2019 to January or 2021 January 6th. He was my first father. And then I was raised by my stepdad, Tate Katoko. He also died in 2021. My biological father died in 2021. So there's a picture of me here in New York. I think I owe New York. We talk a lot of crap about our stepmothers. But my stepmother is also my hero, I got 4 parents. So every single one of my 4 parents is my parent, unconditionally. I think at some point she thought she was feeding me seeds. She didn't know that they were helping me to grow. You know how you hate your stepmom, but me, I love her for that. There's a picture of me here dancing.
Yeah.
This was in New York. My stepmom introduced me to a school, the Montessori school. But before we go there, I was at PPS. When I came to Namibia, I was at PPS. We're all at PPS, my big brothers. I'm one of those kids that were never bullied. Never. Too many big brothers, but my big sisters were the baddest. Yeah. You couldn't touch me. So I was at PPS, I went to Van Rijn, and then I later moved to New York. So my stepmom, maybe it was a conscious decision, but I love her, even if it wasn't. I owe her that because she told me to go to that school. She forced me. I hated it. Man, that school changed my life. Later, I didn't stay in New York for too long. Too many things happened, too many changes, blah, blah, blah. And then, because in New York, I started theater. Theater was like, it became my savior. I spent more time in the theater than anywhere else because I knew I could tell any story. I could be anything and anybody. But when I was off stage, I was always shy. In 2007, 2006, when did spoken word start?
2007, actually.
No?
Yeah, but before theater school, yeah.
Spoken word, like...
actually it started almost at the same time. Free Your Mind.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story because Free Your Mind started because of spoken word.
Yeah.
JC, see, I gotta give credit where it's due now. JC is also Fidel's little brother, but JC was my big brother. JC gave me all the power I needed, because he was running theater school. He knew everybody in the industry and whatnot, so he came up with an idea. We're looking at spoken word. We attended spoken word in 2007, maybe the whole year. It was brilliant. Spoken word was the best thing to happen in Windhoek, Poetry, networking, wine, open mic, and it's all about talent. It's all about mix and match and getting together. When JC saw that, he was like, Chicken, we should start a stand-up comedy platform, but it should be like spoken word. So spoken word started Presidents for Everything. And JC, maybe at that time he felt he wasn't strong enough. He wasn't the best. He gave me everything I needed to make the best out of Free Your Mind. But it was his idea. I need to give credit where it's due, And Sebi, Getea, he was our sound guy. So Free Your Mind was started by 6 people. Slick, a lot of people know Slick. But Slick was really the end product because it took us 2 years to launch the product. We had everything we needed but a comedian until Slick walked in one day and said, you know what, guys, I'll do it. And July 4th, 2008, we launched our first show. We chose not to charge anybody. And I'll tell you, if you are listening, Free Your Mind is the best business that is a result of support from your friends and your family. I'm telling you. Because we didn't charge anything on the first night, but the people that showed up, they came in numbers. The house was full, it was spilling over, but fortunately we opened the bar. We jacked money from one of our rich uncles. I'm proud to say it because he would never give us the money anyway. I won't say his name though, because it's the wrong platform. So we jacked $9,000. But we spoke about it with him, and he's really proud of us. My mother contributed $500. That $500 was everything,
It's a stack of money
for
right there.
It's not even about the money. It's about my mother saying, you know what? You want to start a business? This is the platform you want to... This is what you want to do. This is all I got. And my mom is not rich, This is all I got. That was like a green light from home. So we had a lot of support. Before my big brother stepped in. So we launched the show. We made the money. We made our money back because we had a bar. And the first comedian, our first ever comedian was Slick. The first sound guy, the guy to set up the sound was Sebi. JC and I were the MCs. Ikwambi was at the door. I don't know, Smiley must have been at the bar. Hiskia was doing the kapana. We even had kapana. We brought kapana. We were the first to bring kapana into town. Don't even listen to a lot of nonsense at this. But it's not even real kapana. We stopped that nonsense 3 months later because we're like, if it's not at single quarters, it's not kapana. It's a rip-off to the other man's business. Anyhow, we did that. And we launched our show. It was sold out without being sold. And that gave us the drive. Oh, the second show, it was empty. But I'll show you a picture here. How many people do you see?
Well, about 15 plus minus.
Yeah. This was 4 years later. 4 years later. 4 years later, we were doing commercials for Tafelaga, Leo. We were in the game. We dominated so much. We created so many opportunities for so many people. In this picture, there are many people who might know a couple of people who are listening. Let's say there's Chairo here. There's you know this guy, ne? Bones, Silvani Biekes. This is Shaka. This is Shaklam Kandla. This is my brother Popienika Kaxuxwena. This is Makariahwa. This guy is an NMH. This is Yohanan Kutsie. This is Bravo the Brain. This is Tap the guy. Look, Tap the guy must have been 16 or 14. You know, this is Given. He works for MTC. Look at Courage the comedian, still skinny. This is Zel Marie. She runs maybe 99 FM. Weasel, I think, lives in Cape Town. This is myself. So, we became a channel for people to do their thing. And when I ask you about those pictures, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? If I conclude your questions, it's almost like you are telling me that the only thing that has the potential to immortalize you is art.
Yeah.
The ancient Egyptians and their architecture. The only reason we know about them is because of their art.
Yeah.
The only reason you can talk about the drum is because of the artistic mindset of the creator of that piece of artwork. You know, the only reason you know the Bible is because of the architect of that content and the distributor of it.
Right.
So I became curious about information and communication and the power it has over us. So when JC came up with the name Free Your Mind, I was like, you nailed it. And I promise you, man, I'm going to take this business to my grave. And I'm not necessarily to die with me, but I'm going to die building this business, building this architecture. You know, I had two choices. I could build myself. I was making some money in the streets. I was doing some funny things. But I took all that money and put it into my art. And I believe that I, too, like my father, like Sam Nujoma, like anybody who has come before me, I, too, am contributing. I, too, have contributed because I give you an avenue to express yourself. I give you an avenue to express yourself and make money. That's my business model. But it's hard, bro. It's hard. And check this out. We can't solve your problems, but we can aggressively distract you for 2 hours. That's one of our shows. And we mean that. Because freeing your mind is a mindset that even the owners struggle with, right?
Yeah.
So here's something that happened. When we started Free Your Mind, we were always partying. It was a party. So in I caught the alcohol bug. I started drinking, bro. I was an alcoholic. I would drink every time I could get my hands on alcohol. Fortunately for me, I was blessed enough not to take alcohol debt. I only drank when I had money. It broke me. It finished me. Until to a point where I had to take myself Do you know who saved me also? Shikololo. Found me wasted one day and sat with me. He was sober at the time and told me that, listen, chicken, I can do it also. If I can do it, look at me, I'm sober. If I can do it, you can do it. So I'm going to give you a mission. Take 6 months off. Go anywhere you want to. Whether you have money or not, just go and promise yourself you're not going to take liquor. You're just going to experience something new. So what happened is I called my friend Ricky. I could get into it, but it was very intricate. I lost a project where it was an international project between Namibia and Germany. I lost it because I was too wasted. So anyway, after that, Shikololo, I went into Damara land. I was first between Tubuses and Okombaye, and then later that side of Caps Farm. I was staying in the mountains. I had my jerry can, I had my pot, I had my change of clothes. To get water, I needed to walk 5 kilometers an hour to and fro. And it was just basically back to basics. No phone, nothing. And I was there to rehabilitate myself. And the best part is, there are guys in Damara land today. Shout out to the yogis of Damara land. You guys saved me. We were digging for precious stones. So if you go into the Rongo mountains and whatnot, there are people who are digging for precious stones, and sometimes you can make 30,000, 40,000. You can be a millionaire from it. Tourmaline is a very precious stone, and they look for that. But there are many others like garnet, and it's a long story also. So I stayed with those guys. We cooked on the fire. We hunted for our food, dassies, and I had beans, and my mom would send me money, and not money, but, food and whatever, just the support I needed. And that's how I stayed there for 6 months. Strangers, I never met them before, but I was back to basics. I wanted to cleanse myself, and I made a decision that I want to come and rebuild Free Your Mind. So I'm telling this story because there are people out there who are drinking alcohol and they want to quit. And I want to tell them that, look, if you really want to, I know, bro, building a business is not easy. It's not easy, my friend. It's not. Everybody knows that, who has a real business that people can consider a business. And leaving alcohol is also a challenge. So you always need to forgive yourself. You need to be kind to yourself. This is Big Mitch, one of the biggest comedians in the country. There's no comedian in this country that you can name, not one, that is really worth mentioning that has not gone through the Free Your Mind Comedian Academy. And I'm proud of that. And I believe that is the most successful aspect of our business. We didn't make a lot of money, but we made a lot of talent. Yeah. This is one of the... So Free Your Mind later evolved. People started to recognize us. So we got business, We started to work with NGOs and government to produce film. I'm a filmmaker by passion. Besides anything else, I do film when I can. And yeah, it's even starting now to pick up quite well, and I'm very happy about that. But I can't get into that. And so we began to pick up. We launched a platform called Conscious Citizens. We started to work with NGOs. So now my film career even started to take off. Unfortunately, you won't see a lot of my work because it's very private clients. But the lecture is a little different. But as you can see, I think I've gone through some of the pictures. And this is me. This is me. And I also want to reiterate that I'm a proud child of the liberation struggle. I see a lot of my brothers and sisters on the streets struggling, and it's not easy, and I think a lot of us are disappointed. But I think that every Namibian today, owes a duty to Namibia. And that is what Free Your Mind is. And some people call into my radio show and they want to instigate war. I'm about to end now. And I tell them, Africa doesn't need another war. Africa needs a renaissance. Africa needs to be like Italy in the age of enlightenment. Africa needs every African's mindset to be part of the program. Every mindset to understand that I have a duty to my country. We shouldn't be bragging about human rights in Africa. We should be begging about human responsibilities. And as my business, as Free Your Mind, and when I say my, I'm speaking of behalf of everybody that has contributed. Like, I can't even begin to mention names. Like, I am nothing without everybody, without Zell, without Slick, without Pio, without Franklin. You've interviewed us quite often. Without Fidel, I'm nothing. And Free Your Mind is nothing without those people. And I put more of my money into Free Your Mind than I do into myself, because I believe that an institution is stronger than a human being. So Africa needs an age of enlightenment, a Leonardo DiCaprio, a Galileo, a Da Vinci, not a Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci, sorry, a Galileo, who's the guy who wrote The Prince? Machiavelli. These are the people we need in Africa today. We need people that are here to change the mindset of the masses. But that's me. Thank you very much.
Franklin, over to you.
No, you can't even begin to conceptualize that. I think
it's been a journey.
I think the worst thing with not telling the truth is the consequence you have to bear as a part of not telling the truth. You see what I mean? It's like, the idea that if you are incapable of violence, you not being violent doesn't make you virtuous. It makes you a coward. It's the same concept. If you are capable of change and you don't, it will forever haunt you. Now, the problem is, I think we are sold this idea to think that your job is to go change the masses. But the masses is like, it's the one person, because that one person knows 100 people who know 1,000 people. And I think that is the space where it stands from. Look, it's easier for you to tell a distruth. It is easier for you to especially when you know. I think that's what separates people. There's people who are called for a thing, that thing will beckon onto you. It doesn't matter how far you run, that thing is right there by your heel. There are people who start a thing and just give up. We have sleepless nights thinking, how can I create an institution where it starts to replicate itself and that institution becomes a legacy? And every time you feel like giving up, it's right there. It's annoying, but it is right there. And it's because it's annoying that you have the proclivity. You see what I mean? To soldier for it. And again, I was telling him earlier that there's this horrible idea where we always only want to mimic what we see now. Nobody ever really wants to mimic the groundwork. Nobody ever wants to say, let me take that